Chips Clip.
Recent politicians feel as fast as golden safe.
I hope you liars burning fires.
What you've done to this place.
And I can't take no more
Alrighty, welcome to this week's GUNN Glasgow Underground News Network. My name is Kip. You'll usually find me over on YouTube under Kip 1883 Freedom News Hub 2.0. I've not been near it for 2 or 3 weeks now, and a few people have actually asked me if I'm alright and stuff, and everything's fine. Everything's cool. I've just thought it's best not to go on camera and say stuff that might come back and bite me in the ass later on. So I had to wait for a few things to get found out before getting put near put a camera in front of myself. It was only sensible. So nothing's wrong other than I'm trying to play it sensible. So thanks for the concern for everybody, man, but everything's good to go. I will be obviously returning back and doing my YouTube stuff when I clarify a few more things and stuff, man. So there's not a problem or anything, and I will be back at some point. Full house as always again. Days, JP and Peter and Martin, he's out. Shout out to his mum, it's Mother's Day over here. He's out with his mum having a Mother's Day shindig tonight, man. So hopefully he'll be back later. He might touch on me later on, but hopefully not. He'll stay out, have a good time with his mum. And shout out to my mum as well. Happy Mother's Day. She never listens, so she won't hear it, but I have to say it anyway. And she'll get her card tomorrow because I missed the post. But Days and JP and Peter are here as always. No other guests on this week. But we've got 1,001 things we were talking about before the show. Me and JP started at the Black Death, ended up with ancient gas masks, and then even I started touching on Knights Templar and Hunters or stuff like that, just in the general timeline sense of things with the Black Plague as well. Then I was going to read a wee teeny bit for my dad's old Masonic Bible, the bit that tells you about the... And this is out of the Masons' Bible, so whether it's true or not, who knows? But this is what they tell Masons are true when they're initiated. And it's just a wee bit about when and whereabouts the Freemasons, as the term is used, came from. Whether it's still the same power structure, who knows or not. Beforehand, me and Peter were talking about 1,001 things. He's found the new world order, biggest company. Then we're going to touch on the Eye of Horus and stuff. We had a good brief look on it earlier on, and it's definitely a website that everybody needs to batter over onto, and Peter will talk more about that later on as well. We're also touching on Ukraine and 1,001 things. 1,100 other things as well. So, how you been this weekdays? Have you been all right, my man?
I've been great, thanks, Kip. Good to be on the show. How you doing, mate?
Well, I'm really good, man. So, is there anything in particular you're looking to touch on this week, mate? What's been on your plate?
Just saying the rest of these about 10 minutes ago. Obama's language, talking about Russia as a regional power, maybe in the solar system, and nuke in Manhattan is a bigger threat. I mean, what is this guy talking about? You know what I mean? Could it be, I don't know, maybe a bit of a stretch? Could it be the historic mistake that Netanyahu was talking about after the Iran deal? Who knows, but strange language.
It's very strange language, Days, and it's not as if Russia and United States / NATO, but it's definitely more NATO because a lot of the power structures spread throughout all these places, but have been at war in a proxy sense with inside Syria. Let's look at what's happening in real terms. The neocons look to be pushing to, let's say, politely muck up Gazprom's business interests and it comes along the time when I believe the US will be exporting their first shale gas next year. And it comes at a time when people who follow canals, boat enthusiasts might know this better than me, but there's a few canals out there that are getting talked about or got plans for getting widened to take larger boats, which in theory can take more of this shale gas, which in theory cuts out Gazprom and prevents Russia from having as much clout as they do, especially in Germany. Is it 30-40%? I mean, they've got some clout with their hold over the gas market into Europe.
It's wild when you just start taking a look into the catacombs of the geopolitics that's getting played out just now. But hopefully we can try and narrow it down a wee bit and get a grasp on it, sort of demystify things as the show goes on, you know.
Aye, well, let's take what Obama said, and understand that this guy, apart from slipping up a few syllables and whatnot, and saying a whore done 9/11, and if you don't believe me, go and look in my channel and you will see Obama clearly saying that. But he slips up a few syllables and whatnot every now and again, but more or less the guy is very Taylor prompter perfect. And this nuclear bombs in Manhattan thing, it's like anybody who knows that, as I say, the words are analysed time and time again, so nothing's by accident. And as you're saying, Deja, rightly to draw attention, what the hell's it there for? And it's, for me, it's simple in a sense. It's there to put fear in the people and stoke up the fear which will allow them to get away with more bull crap, in the sense that people will go, oh, he must know because he's got the computer intelligence. But I don't think they have a mainframe intelligence computer in like Team America anymore. I now think they've upgraded it to the new app, and they just have an app called Intelligence, and Obama has it on his smartphone. But
Yeah,
it's just
hubris to the man. How dare he try and put that sort of fear on the people in Manhattan? He's an absolute criminal.
I think ultimately we need to try and turn it against him and point out the absolute absurdity of it. I don't know, like I don't know how I would feel if I had the same sort of thoughts and feelings and stayed in Manhattan and that knob said that. Do you know what I mean? It's, as you're saying, it's fear mongering today. And Manhattan also represents 9/11 as well. Let's not take that away as well. So there's
Ground zero.
Aye, there's a lot of connotation. It's not just him saying a nuclear bomb in American City. He's saying 9/11 times 11, because that will be good for the numerology of the Illuminati.
It's disgraceful. He's beneath contempt, you know.
Well, like you're saying, strip it down and like let's look where the money lies. The money lies with the shale gas versus Gazprom, and ultimately that's going to be very much American interests. If you maybe go and trace back the shale gas interest in America, maybe some of it might lead back to neocons who are pushing for all this stuff in Ukraine, so on and so forth. And I think, well, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong in thinking this. Maybe this is part of the puzzle rather than the whole thing. But I definitely think it's a good shout to bear in mind what's happening with this shale gas. And like people don't understand when I'm saying shale gas, it's fracking. That's the terror word that's used to sell. That's the word that's used for getting the shale gas out the ground, fracking. But JP, me and you were going to touch on. Daisy, you back with us, man? No, just. But JP, you're with me, man, and I wanted to. We started talking about the. We were bouncing about ideas for the show, man, and I was saying that I came across a article on today's BBC News, and it was it was a train company dug a shaft down in London, in the outskirts of older London, and they found bodies from the Black Death. Now, they started digging out the bodies, talking about the extracted DNA of the... They were obviously trying to investigate how they died, so they better thought about the Black Plague. And I was just I was more or less coming from the angle, it's a bit stupid digging these bodies up when it was the Black Death that killed them. Which killed... How many millions was it? It was somewhere in the regions, some people were saying up to 200 million people. And 70% of Londoners were took out by it. So this thing is quite deadly, whatever it was, well, whatever they pertain it to have been, if you accept the official explanations in the sense that it was one virus that done the whole thing, or one plague that done the whole thing. But they were digging up that, and then JP led me on to... well, first let's have a wee look at the Black Death, because this is what they're digging up. And then we found 1,001 conspiracies about the Black Death. It was... The Black Death was the thing that killed everybody, to simplify it. Then you've got the bubonic plague. That's the sort of a term used for the most commonly accepted theory of what happened at the moment, although there is a lot of theories out there. And a lot of them definitely with some weight as well. Was it started in China, travelled about a bit, done a U-turn around Russia, came into Europe, touched in England. As far as I'm aware, there's little to no account of it in Ireland, and in Scotland. The general consensus is that it was less affected. It was far less affected than England. Now, the Black Plague was the EU part of it, because that's the bit that historians have traditionally focused on, because they've all been European historically, and it was 1348 to 50 that it killed like 40 million Europeans, and I think ultimately there was as high as it took out as much as 60% of Europe's population. Now, when I looked into the Black Death, touching on Scotland, because there seemed to be this was back in 1348, so this was around the time when Scotland was independent, whatnot. And I mean, Robert the Bruce only died 1329 or whatever, and it was dead weird, because then you start looking at JP, what was the mask that you found? Tell everybody how to find that mask, because that was the freakiest thing. I showed Dave. I don't know if Dave's back is either, man. I need to send Dave a message, man.
It's the Doctor's Plague mask, is what they would refer to it as. Obviously, they would wear a wide brimmed black hat, black robes, and a mask that resembled a bird. As you said previously, it had herbs in the end of the beak. And had red glasses.
How would the best way?
Just an image search for plague, Doctor Plague mask,
and see the thing at the Black Death plague mask or anything.
Plague Doctor mask.
And this is genuine. This isn't drawn by an artist in a horror film. This is a genuine mask used by doctors, thinking it was some sort of a gas mask, isn't it? It's absolutely, it terrifies me. People need to go and check this mask out.
There's some people say that, it was simply just to block out the smell of all the dead bodies and things like that. So, I could see that being the case as well. But if you're filtering the air, essentially it does make it a very primitive gas mask. The thing is, obviously, when you came in, you were told me about, what you wanted to speak about tonight, and I said, well, have you heard the conspiracy theory behind, behind the bubonic plague? You said no. So just to let you all know, it's been cited in a couple of reports, back a couple of 100 years ago. Was it Brandenburg, Germany?
Somewhere in Germany, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe not saying that right. And they had reports of horrible men dressed in black, moving through the fields with scythe-like equipment, and the equipment was hissing, and but the oats were not being cut down, the crops were not being cut down, even though that's the motion they were making. And soon afterwards, the plague would hit the villages, and these sightings of these men had been reported, in various different locations across Europe throughout the bubonic plagues. And that's basically the conspiracy right there. People don't know who these men were or if there's any validity to these claims.
Well, the first thing I said, because I've never looked into the Black Death or the bubonic plague ever before in my life.
Well, it's also where the Grim Reaper stems from as well. I didn't actually know that prior to today, but we sort of came to the conclusion that is where the Grim Reaper stems from the plague doctors going from house to house dressed in black and just moving house to house, and obviously everyone would be dying around.
And wearing these big freaky masks.
The black masks and everything. The white mask, should I say.
Now, I mean, I don't know, like, if people go and check out these masks, what is it, like, is it Black Death
Plague Doctor mask.
Plague Doctor mask. I can also, on some of them, see a wee bit of a resemblance to the Scream masks and stuff like that. And I don't know, maybe it's just me. I don't think I've ever seen them before, but I was absolutely terrified. And I think that's been the start of a lot of myths of mythology, if you look how absolute... I mean, if I was going somewhere and somebody was presented to me as a doctor and they were wearing one of those things, you would think you're going to die. And I suppose if one of those people turn up and they're scared to actually breathe around you, you're probably likely going to die. So I think we found a lot of evidence pointing to that as like where a lot of the traditional resemblance of where death comes from in the scythe and whatnot.
Yeah. Harbinger of death. That's it. Come knocking on your door.
Yeah, if you look at Black Death and the timeline as well, and the amount of people that it killed. Now, I'd never ever looked into the Black Death before, and the first thing I said to JP was, I bet you there's a conspiracy about that. So I went and checked, and obviously there was a million and one different theories. There's obviously the Jews done it. There's the church, the elite church done it, and there's a lot of evidence pointing to the fact that obviously, as always, what exactly went on.
Yeah, it was those genetically modified Jewish fleas. I know it.
The time traveling fleas.
They've got that genetic disease, ODD. That's it.
What I found funny, right, was just the timeline of it all. Now, there's obviously been a lot of plagues that's happened and stuff, but the Black Death is considered to be the worst, if not one of the worst, and with all areas, more or less all areas affected. As I said, some evidence points to Scotland being less affected than others. And obviously, certainly, a ratio of impoverished people to the people roaming around with pounds in their pocket was sickening, in the sense that if you had money, the likelihood of you catching it wasn't as much. But what I was thinking about was, if you're coming at it from an angle that maybe this was, like, the way it was spread seemed to indicate that it wasn't it wasn't spread naturally. I mean, it done a few U-turns and back on itself, and then came back a few times, and it would die out, come back. Well, not to the same degree, but it would. It didn't act like a normal, what would be classed as a plague. Maybe that's where the Jedi mind trick of it being called the Black Death rather than the Black Plague, and it's the bubonic plague that it's blamed for it, and that's the traditional story that's been told to stop people looking into it. But on the timeline of things, right, what you've got is you've got Robert the Bruce dying, who, as I've went into before lots of times, I believe the Knights Templar came to Scotland was the only place in Europe. Robert the Bruce was, excommunicated by the Pope. At the same time, the Pope excommunicated the Knights Templar. And if you go and look into the timeline of it as well, it was the French king started kicking them out. It was 1307, and then the Pope followed suit 10 years later. And if you go and look at the timeline of Scotland at the same time, it's when the Knights Templar were there. There's arguments and a lot of references in a lot of places. If you look, just don't take my word for it, go and check this out, and you'll find a lot of references to Robert the Bruce, William Wallace, and then the power structure. And there's argument that William Wallace and Robert Bruce used the military knowledge and might of the Knights Templar, because the Knight Templar weren't only bankers, they were everything, but they were primarily a military order. But within that military order, they were the first military order and the only one that used to run money, more or less, and they were the best at it, and thus the wealthiest and most powerful. And if you look at the timeline, like the night Robert the Bruce died in 1329, so you could argue, well, my argument is that's when the power structure of the Knights Templar, who would be the ones other than the church at the time that would be engaging in the rituals which is now known as the Illuminati and all that sort of stuff. And even if you go and look back, what was said about the Knights Templars at times, that they were going around and kissing each other in the anus, which if you go and look into a lot of porn films, you'll see they're doing the exact same thing. And they were doing, Miley Cyrus was doing that as well, kissing that big black woman's ass on the anus. So there is stuff that points to that there. And that's the exact same, that's a few years, that's what, 40 years, but less than 40 years, 30 years, sorry, before the Black Death came to the EU, killing 40 million people, up to, it varies, the reports 40% up to 60% dead. And I heard the report on the BBC, which is always a good source of bullcrap they want you to believe. They said that London at the time, there was an estimated, that's the word I'm looking for, 60,000 people that stayed in London at the time, and the bubonic plague and the Black Death killed 40,000 of them. So about like 70%, which is 70%. Oh Jesus, I just realised my mute was going on and off there, sorry. So that's roughly about 70% that died in London. So this thing wiped out a lot of people, and it certainly had a dent on the worldwide population. You could argue worldwide, there's been arguments worldwide that it was as much as 70% worldwide, because it affected China, the known world at the time. So God knows if the Black Plague affected America. But anyways, and then if you fast forward to today's theories about what's going on and the population argument that's going on just now, the Georgia Guidestones and the common conspiracy theory that the numbers are anywhere between 80 and 90% they want dead and whatever they've got planned. So my argument, well, not my argument, I'm saying if there's a possibility that the Black Death could have been orchestrated to population control and kill off a lot of people, coincidentally enough, if you go and look at wealth distribution during the Black Death, it could be argued it was kind of similar of a olden day Wall Street crash, because the people who had power, the people who had power, who were the money. I mean, do you need to actually expand on it? It's the same slime ball structure that's in place just now. The greediest, underhanded, you know what I'm talking about. And they walked away from all this death relatively unscathed. Oh, we're going out to break because I'm talking. I didn't even know too much. Come back. I can follow on from there if I can remember where I was or wanted something else. Back after the break, y'all. Alrighty, welcome back to this week's GUNN Glasgow Underground News Network. Just before the break, I was rambling on about my theory of the Black Plague. And if you could believe, and if the evidence is correct, about the many theories that are out there. The Jews, the Catholics, the Knights Templar, who knows? The many theories out there. If any of them are true that this was propagated, one of the interesting facts I heard about it being unable to spread by rats would be that it happened in Iceland. JP did bounce in after that and say, well, that would be the fleas in Iceland then. I want to know, can fleas exist in Iceland?
Yeah, you get such a thing as snow fleas.
Are you just making that up, JP? But I know you're not, man, because you know this stuff. I'm just laughing because it's just snow fleas.
It's quite horrific when you see it, actually. Like, you see a big swarm of fleas all mixed in with the snow. It's really, really, like, it just makes your skin crawl. Do you know what I mean? Have you had snow fleas, JP, at some point? Or has it been a friend? Somebody? I've seen pictures. Like, and it's kind of gross to look at, in a way. Bad mental images, you know what I mean?
Well, so...
But to the best of my knowledge, yeah, the bubonic plague was transferred via rats to fleas to humans.
Well, the argument is that it's not a bubonic plague, and that's even... I can even go into an article that what the dudes that are digging out the bodies today.
It's a bacterium.
Out and seeing.
It's a bacterium.
Sorry, man, I should have dropped this in earlier on. I was too busy watching blind women getting led into traffic with a pram in one hand and a dog in the other.
Aye.
But I did have an article from the Telegraph. Bodies of Black Dead victims give up their secrets. Take a wee read of this, guys, and they're talking. Well, they're saying, we're talking about conspiracy theories. They're saying it isn't a bubonic plague. They're saying it's some sort of other plague. And anyway, I think what they're doing is adding to the general confusion, and the fact that a lot of these things nobody can agree on everything. So come to your own conclusion and just get on with it. But sorry, I just going to finish. I was saying population control, and I was touching on the Georgia Guidestones. So that would even lead on to like what chemtrails, contrails, so on and so forth. Peter, you wanted to touch on contrails, didn't you, buddy?
Yeah, well, it's something that gets crops up every now and then on the internet, that when the weather is at a certain level or at a certain temperature, you get extremely much contrails. or those beautiful straight white lines made by aeroplanes. And then the conspiracy theory of chemtrails come up. And I have to say there is a big difference between the two. And I'm not a big believer in the chemtrail conspiracy.
So your argument is it's something to do with the weather conditions and at certain times of year, that's why it'll peak. And
Yeah.
see, now you mentioned that, I need to admit that I've seen a lot more chemtrails over the last couple of weeks, I would say that, definitely. I think I came immune to them now in the sense that sometimes I'm like, is it even worthwhile pulling out my camera and taking a picture of another white line? Unless there's something particularly interesting about it, but I don't know. Whatever.
Well, there is a problem with the contrails, and I think that is a conspiracy that is not talked about. They do block sunlight, and that's a well-known fact. They create a haze over the Earth, and they do block sunlight. So, and that can be up to 10% or even more.
So what do you think?
That could be a problem. It's cooling down local areas, and especially in those flat flight paths, those areas get less sunlight.
What do you think they are, Peter? What do you think they are?
Well, they are more a weather phenomenon than a man-made phenomenon, because
Water,
the conditions have to be right to make them.
It's not chemical. It's not water. It's not the conditions mixing with the exhaust fumes and creating something bad. It's just water vapor and stuff like that. Or
Look, it's not just water vapor, because airplanes are very polluting craft. I mean, 80% of their weight is fuel. So on those long-haul flights, they burn 80% of their total weight in fuel. So the amount of kerosene they pump out in our atmosphere is a bigger conspiracy or a bigger problem than the chemtrail conspiracy. And I think that's the cover-up for those kind of stories. Chemtrails do exist in the sense of military programs or weather control programs or cloud seeding programs, or that you could count those as chemtrails. But those are not conspiracies, and those are certainly not secrets. They're open and out, openly talked about since the 70s.
so
Many countries do it. I think if you remember the Chinese Olympics, there was a lot of smog in the city, and they openly said, "Yeah, well, we will create some rain, and we hope the smog will come down with the rain before the Olympics, and we have clear skies, and the air is clean." And it was all over the BBC and every mainstream media. It's a well-known fact. You can do that.
fact.
But that's something, yeah. But that's something different. That's something else than flying chemtrail planes to, I don't know what the main conspiracy is to dumb down the population or something. But there's no sense in that. There are more easier ways to do that than to randomly fly a plane and hope something drops on your head. So you know.
See, I
It's
think
silly.
I think you're right in that sense. That I've never thought it's to poison us, because if they're poisoning us, they're poisoning everybody.
Well, they are. The kerosene they are burning,
Yeah.
that's pure poison, of course. That's a problem. But that's not discussed.
That's that's one of the most plausible things. It's the conspiracy of the absolute. Because think of the amount of heat, traffic, people that own cars are getting just now with their so-called green agenda, and then you see all these planes floating about, and if you're arguing that they're doing more damage than anything else, maybe that's what all this is to hide.
Yeah, at least 80% of your ticket price is also gasoline. So, look, this is the biggest business for the oil companies. That's the air traffic, and that's why it's promoted and hyped as much as it is, I believe. There's a big money in there, because the tickets, the gasoline gets paid by the tickets, by the customers. It's not the airlines. The airlines just have to create a fleet and maintain a fleet. That's their business. And from what I hear in the short haul flights within America, the average profit on the passenger is 50 cents, or between 25 and 50 cents for an airline per passenger. So
Imagine
those
how-
margins are tiny, but they haul millions of people a year. So okay, a million times 50 cents amounts to a couple of million, but most of it goes out in taxes and in fuel. So the oil companies depend on them. And there's the big conspiracy in it. Because I think that there are way more efficient ways to travel around and to make them more efficient. But that's something they definitely don't want. And there is a problem that they create a cloud cover with their condensation up there. But that's because the traffic is so absurdly high. It's rising year by year by year. The ticket prices fall, So it gets cheaper and cheaper. It's a mass. You can go to Barcelona for 40 euros if you want. And that's insane.
One thing I've never heard mentioned, and I think it could be plausible as well, in the sense that I would accept that a lot of the UFO stuff, not all of it, but a lot of it is kind of rubbish, propagated for profit and to hide real military tech that's getting tested. So with chemtrails, now I'm a believer in I see things in percentages. My percentages are edged, so there's something up there. I thought it was more for weather control than anything else. But if I was to believe that that is a weather, a thing about the weather phenomenon, and you could say that it's getting propagated to hide real military testing of chemicals in the air. And if you go and look, there are documented cases of real, let's say, crop dusting of populations.
Sure.
For particular, and I'm pretty sure quite recently they've done it in areas like Texas and stuff for some sort of a pest control, and they just go out and spray whole towns and areas with some crap. Because I can remember one of the areas allegedly that didn't get dusted with this stuff was George Bush's ranch. So whatever region that's in, I know it's in Texas somewhere, but
yeah, okay, but that's something completely different than commercial airliners painting white stripes over the skies.
Yeah, that's what.
You cannot compare those.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you in a sense. If I come round to the conclusion, which I may do at some point, that this is like exactly what you're saying, Peter. I would then say that the reason it's getting propagated and put out there so much, maybe a theory, would be to hide the real stuff, the same way that the UFO thing, the propagation of the flying saucer, so on and so forth, probably hid a lot of genuine photographs that could have been, if there was less crap out there, the more genuine ones could have been easier analysed, and a better conclusion could have came to, like, yeah, well, this triangle you're seeing isn't a new UFO, it's the stealth bomber.
Yeah, okay, but the big issue is with climate change, the CO2, and but the water vapor, what those planes create is 10 times or 100 times worse. So, and if that gets discussed, then the airplanes are in a dilemma. They have a problem, because then they'll have to tax them also for that, because that's 100 times worse than the CO2 they put out. Creating a cloud cover that blocks out 10% of the sunlight, that's more effective than all the CO2 you put out in a year, I think. That has a direct effect.
So you think it's still a bit?
No, but it's an unwanted side effect, because they have to fly that high because they want to fly as cheap as possible, and the air conditions up there are better than to fly low, where there's more resistance and all that stuff. So it's a commercial circle of death they are flying. But if we take a realistic look at it, then they are the ones that pollute the most of all, more than any other industry. Because they burn a lot of kerosene, which is a CO2 fossil fuel. Plus, they create a cloud. They create water vapor, and water vapor is 100 times more a greenhouse gas than CO2 is. And if you put a price on that, then the flight tickets would rise by 100-fold. It would be unpayable. And that's the big cover-up. That's why you got those silly theories out there, I think, just to distract from these kind of issues, real problems with.
Well, I think at the very least, people should go out and definitely check out that theory. So, is there anywhere, Peter, that people could touch base with? You think that would maybe touch on this?
No, I cannot point directly to a site, but just be aware or look at all the data that's out there. It's not just one side conspiracy data, but also the legit or the semi-legit or whatever you want to call it.
Bang it, bitches.
Other side, yeah, right. So check out Wikipedia, the book of knowledge.
Yeah. JP, why don't we touch on Wikipedia? Daze, you're back in the room, my friend. Are you with us, man? Yep.
Just about. Sorry about that, Kip. I'm trying to shut me down, mate, but it's no use.
Just checking you were still with us, man. I was going to touch on JP and the Wikipedias. I know you've got your tuppence worth to throw in. It's just a wee funny thing that me and JP seen that was on Wikipedia about Mark Dice. And I know you've got your tuppence worth on Mark Dice because he recently had his YouTube video shut down and he was bitching and moaning and they get put back up, so on and so forth, and the whole palaver and what have you. And me and JP were having a wee look at what it was saying on this Wikipedia about the YouTube incident, just checking it out and whatnot. And obviously his isn't a locked article, so this isn't a wiki fact as much as the other wiki facts, but I think it's still in the region of like 80% fact. And if you go over to Mark Dice's wiki page, and go down and read up on what's happening with the situation on the censoring of his YouTube channel, you'll find out that this was all due to the supporters of Mark Dice, the New World Order fashion reporter. You noticed it with me as well, JP, didn't you?
Oh, aye.
And it's on Wikipedia, so it is a fact.
Must be true. Must be true. It's been up there for days.
God
knows how long it's been up there.
It's been a fact for days. It's a day-old fact. It's a new fact, but it's a few day-old fact. So if you want to go and check out a new fact, go over to Mark Dice's webpage, or what you can do is put in Mark Dice New World Order fashion reporter, and hopefully that'll bring to you. Now, I think the UFOs have zapped Days again, and he's dropped offline. So JP, if you get your tuppence worth about Mark Dice.
He's an absolute credit to just how far some people can fall.
I think we led on to this general conversation when we were talking about you were in fact the conversation was going that you were telling me how pissed off you were by the rhetoric that was getting used about the Crimean crisis, or just like
Well,
general memes that are out there, and like how if you use a meme that tends to be what people think is the reality rather than thinking for themselves.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing of wording it Crimea crisis implies that there is in fact something wrong with the inherent situation when that's all it is. It's a situation. Well, I don't know how else really to put it. You know, I mean, it's you can't. you can't call it a crisis without immediately making yourself bias.
Well, JP, I'm sorry, I've got a new name for it, right? And this is what I think it should be called officially on Wikipedia. This should be a new birth of a new fact. It shouldn't be called the Crimea Crisis. It should be called the Crimea Crisis 2. Because coincidentally, JP, I don't know, would you say getting hit with the Black Death is a crisis? Well, we found out today, JP, that on its travels, and it's a wiki fact, that reaching the Black Death travelled on its way into Europe through Crimea around 1346. A couple of years before they officially said it was a plague, because a lot of white European people were dying. But nevertheless, it is a fact that the plague did go through Crimea in 1346. When, by the way, I think that place was Russian.
Yeah, that's an interesting period of time. I love that period of time.
It's an interesting period of time, JP.
Do you know that's roughly the time period that the Scottish flag appeared? It was 1350. That's when the first ever recordings of the saltires appeared on coins. So we can only assume that the flags just came slightly before that.
I thought that was the St Andrew's Cross, or is that?
It's one and the same, mate. What do you think the Scottish flag is?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I've never. Do you know what? That's kind of strange, because I've went and actually researched I researched the Knights Templars links to the English flag, and argue and maintain that isn't the England flag; it's the flag of the Knights Templar. Sorry to piss off whatever English people and whatnot, but it is a fact that. And I'm not saying that the Scottish flag's any more Scottish. I'm trying to point out the absurdity of these power structures who have sold you on the belief of some sort of a belonging to a country when you're nothing more than a possession. Anyway. Aye, so what about the saltire, mate? That's interesting.
It's basically said that St Andrew, he was a patron of Scotland in about the year 1000, and then about 350 years later, he appears crucified on one of the coins from back in that day, and the saltire appears on that as well.
JP, I'm so glad you've said that, because I'm going to go and research that, because even before the show we were talking about that time period and all the links, even with the Black Death in and around the same period, wiping out so many people. That mask that was rumoured to be used by the people spreading the Black Plague. I mean, is it rumoured to them be spreading it, or is it rumoured? Well, like obviously one of the same, but this is the Chinese whispers of the story. Where the Black Plague was, you would find those masks popping up because people would want to protect themselves. So it'd be one and the same. Yeah. Those masks would bring the plague, although would it be vice versa, that the plague, or whatever you want to call it, brought the masks? Well, but it would be a very, very symbolic thing to see people walking around with these scary ass masks on.
Given that they're transferred by fleas, any clothing could potentially transfer it. So yeah, I mean, that's how I would look at it.
I will do bear in mind there's a lots of buts and maybes about what they... I mean, here's an interesting fact. One of the things that came out today, they took out 12 bodies. They found 25. Out of the 12 bodies tested, only four tested positive for what is blamed for what is traditionally termed the bubonic plague. So the evidence they're uncovering now is pointing towards not a bubonic plague. I know this might be argued.
A pneumonic plague.
What?
Is it the pneumonic plague?
No, this is the bubonic plague, the Black Death, the one that was blamed for the...
So it's one and the same thing.
I'm sorry, man. Patata, JP.
Not inherently. I mean, just in case you're not aware, there was two different things causing the Black Death. It wasn't just the fleas spreading the bacterium disease. It was there was a massive epidemic of pneumonia, like extreme coldness sort of thing as well. Wiki says so it must be true.
Yeah, well, it was coming from a few more places than that, man.
I know. But no, it was just that's all that really had to chip in there. Where were you going?
No, well, why don't you fill in the bits that you went into, the broader history of the bubonic plague or the other plagues that have happened?
Okay, well,
battered into that more than me.
Long story short, it's not the first time that it's appeared. Basically, 800 years prior to when London got decimated by it. It started off in China, killed about 25 million people in China at one point, and that's it moved up and destroyed a lot of the Roman Empire. It was referred to as the Plague of Justinus back then, and then it cropped up 800 years later, as you say, in sort of down by Crimea and all that, and spread again. So it hasn't actually disappeared. It still is live. I mean, from after the World War II ended to running up to 1993, there was something like 300 cases in America that were found as well.
And it was the thing that's classically blamed for all those millions of deaths.
Yeah, I've got it up here, from 1944 through to 1993.
Take us out of the break, JP. This is you've got 300 to go, man.
362 cases of human plague reported in the United States. Approximately 90% occurred in 4 western states. The epidemic disease hitting Arizona, California, Colorado, and New Mexico. It's basically so much information here. Reported 10 confirmed cases of human plague in the Center of Disease Control. 1 case confirmed during 1994. Yeah, so it's ongoing. Back in a minute, y'all.
Recent politicians feel as fast as bold and safe.
I hope your liars burning fires,
What you've done to this place.
and I can't take no more lies.
Alrighty, welcome back to this week's GUNN Glasgow Underground News Network, live on truthfrequencyradio.com. Make sure you get yourself along to truthfrequencyradio.com, check out all the great shows and whatnot available on there. And we're going to do something a wee bit different. We've got days. We were talking a few. We were talking a while ago. I was going to say that we were talking a few days ago, but me and Days were talking a few days ago, and he pointed me in the direction of this app, and it seems to be quite hot in the block right now. And it's like it's like hackyourown.call.com. And right now, if you get onto the right Twitters, you can get the right IP address, you can get along, and you can hack a few hot mobile phones right now, because apparently there's a lot of numbers floating out there. The NSA have just had a bonanza and released a lot of numbers they shouldn't have. And Days, you were going to phone it and hook it in, weren't you?
Yeah, we'll see if we can get through just now, okay?
Hey, hold on. Bring.
Hello?
Hello?
This is Prime Minister of Turkey? Yes?
Yes. We need to We need to push our bull crap.
Is this for... I want to know right away. Is this phone call being recorded?
Oh, of course not. This is on BT. BT, a very honourable company.
Private conversation, yes? Private conversation.
Me got premium account with BT.
Because, you know, the last 4 phone calls we have made, they have all been leaked. What is going on?
Just a coincidence, my friends. Just a coincidence. But what we have to do, we have to ban YouTube, ban Twitter, But this is what we have to do. We have to announce the decision on YouTube and Twitter.
Yes.
Yes.
We must keep these leaked phone calls going, though, because it's a good way to bring things into the public's consciousness and advance our agenda. We can always say it was a leaked call, you know? We've done it 4 times in the last couple of months, but the public seem to be eating it up.
A leaked phone call from the BBC told me that there's going to be a leaked phone call for Alex Salmon shortly. But just another coincidence.
I can't believe we're getting away with this. It's very, very simple, you know. Very simple.
Oh no! The red lights went off. I think they're onto us.
Is this the
Fuck
NSA?
the EU.
We better switch networks quick. I'll phone you on my Yahoo Messenger.
Okay. I shall speak to you later, comrade.
Actually, that was a brilliant phone call that we picked up, and I don't know. We can't say officially that is the Turkish Prime Minister, but this phone call has been released on YouTube, and it's a YouTube fact. So all these phone calls are just coincidence. They're not there for any reason, rhyme or reason.
They're all real leaked. All these leaks are real.
Well,
of course, they're real.
Well, Daze, why don't you tell us that what you know about them, man? Fill us in, because all I know is I've never agreed with somebody censoring so much in my life, and I don't like Erdogan, and I'm not a supporter of his, so don't get caught in that bull crap mentality. But what I'm saying, in a general broad of the sense, to make a point, that it's very true that there's forces out there that can try and bring down governments using Twitter, Facebook, and the YouTubes by the looks of things. and he seems perfectly. It happened in Egypt. There's been many other ones propagated that way as well, and it's a natural reaction when people, i.e. governments, NSA, forces like that, start abusing these things to bring around their agenda.
That's right. I mean, but how many more are we going to see though? Because we've had the Estonian foreign minister's phone call, Catherine Ashton. We've had that came after the President Viktor Yanukovych. More than a week of the week in the wake of protests in Kiev's Independence Square, or the snipers. You basically had the phone call, which was alluding to the fact that the bullets were hitting both ends of the demonstrators, and you know it just seems a very, very obvious way of dictating the agenda by saying that this is a late call which came from somewhere. You know, where is the source of this information coming from? That's the thing. You know, look at these planes that are going. Who's telling you there was a plane there in the first place? People keep on believing mainstream media. It's like taking a sweetie out a paedophile's pocket. How many times do they need to lie to you before you stop accepting them as a source of information about anything?
But what are you talking about, man? There was a plane, it went up, it went down, and it went left and right and turned back, and then it wasn't there, then it went 7 hours that way, and now there's toilet paper in the sea, and that's where it landed. The BBC told me that, Days, and I believe them. But I know what you mean, but see, the only thing you can take away from the news, just try and think what crap they're trying to sell you, and probably go and look the other way, and you'll probably know what's probably closer to the mark what's going on. I mean, we were talking about, let's talk about this then, because people can go and check this out. There's a video on BBC. I caught this morning, and I can't believe I've seen it. And let's see if it's Oh, Jesus, have I lost it? No, I've not lost it. Right. If you go into BBC News, UK, and put in guide dog charity calls for pavement parking ban. Now, it sounds innocent enough. It might just sound a bit nanny state Orwellian-esque. Don't park on the pavement. Slave parking where? The designated areas, slaves, because of the guide dogs and the blind people. So, whatever bullcrap, whether you agree with this or not, what the BBC is using to sell this are the shameless people that have allowed this bit of footage to be created. It's unbelievable. Like, guys, all you have seen it where they show the exact. They're showing examples of how blind people can be affected by this. So it is set up, and the blind people are safe. But they're showing up. They're presenting the examples in a way that this is legit. That like people who blindly follow the news and don't question what's getting presented to them, they would just accept this as like, oh my God, we need to push for this because look what happens. And they roll out a guide dog, a woman who happens to be blind, and I'm assuming that's a guide dog because it's got a big yellow thingy, and in her left hand, and in her right hand she has a pram with a baby, a confirmed baby. If you look at the footage, if you go along to the news article, there's the footage I seen on through Curry's windows this morning, because I don't have a TV licence. Yeah, but
the sad thing is, it's quite a good point though, but it's wasted by them overtly trying to play on the emotional heartstrings like that. There's no need for it, you know. It's like, take your car, see if you've got a driveway or whatever, maybe use your driveway or things like that. But there's a good point, but it's masked by a lot of emotional heartstring play, you know.
It should be like, look, drivers parking on the pavement, these are peeing off the blind people. Let's get together, talk about it and find out a resolution. Not, let's make it illegal and make money from people doing it.
Yeah, because you know that's what's going to happen.
That's the ultimate goal. That's why the BBC here is selling it, right? And
Yep.
that's why they're rolling out a blind woman.
Can make money from it.
I just need to say this is with the shameless footage, and go and watch this footage. It's like they've got a blind woman with a pram, with a real baby in one hand, and a guide dog in another, walking out into an open road, man, to sell this shameless bit of propaganda. I don't know if I'm overreacting or because I've not been watching much of this recently, so my BS meter's a bit sensitive or whatnot. But my God, when I seen this, I was like, nah, that can't be a real blind. But it all
the video that I watched was equally shameful, because in the video I watched, the woman left her house and in her left hand she had a guide dog, and they were following along, hugging the left hand side of the wall, and there was space to get through. There was space between the wall and the car, and she, on her right hand, she's got her daughter, right? And her daughter actually drags her off of the pavement and drags her onto oncoming traffic and around the car. It's like, what the hell are you doing? You're trying to kill your mum. It was messed up beyond belief. Really was.
And this is the stuff people can go and witness. And hopefully, if it's the first time this has been pointed out to you, think of the BBC as QVC. And if you look at this, on the face of it, well-meaning article that the most well-meaning people in the world could eat up and gobble up and ultimately sign on to the dotted line. They're trying to make it illegal for people to park on pavements so they can make more money. Ultimately, they're using blind people, kids, guide dogs, at the expense of drivers who are the scourge of everybody right now, apart from who? The people who have lots of money, the money elite. And in London, you've got the scumbaggery of the congestion charge. That is outrageous. It's like, see, if you've got money, yeah, you can drive in our city. What in the hell are the people paying road tax for, and then you get taxed again. It's the same way that you get taxed on your wages, and then if you take
VAT on
it to a
top.
shop, you need to pay tax on that. Then the money you've got left over, which you've already paid tax on twice because you've had to get your day-to-day stuff to survive, your whatever during the week, everything you've paid tax on. If you buy any luxuries, you're paying tax on that. The little you've got left, if you want to go here, I want to give that to my offspring. Let me do what the government tells me, put it in an ISA, put it in this, that, the other thing. You need to pay the piper. Again, the government go, ding, 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 okay, stupid slave. Come back and get your pot of gold, which isn't quite a pot of gold because technically speaking, up, down, left, right, and the money thing that you don't understand. Where's your mother? Cha-dam! You don't have as much money as we promised you, but we'll give you a pittance that you think you might be able to live off. And that's ultimately how pensions work.
It's a pretty good analogy, actually.
I don't know. I think I read it in Standard Life brochure. It was like the Q&As at the back. It was very small print, right enough, but one of the questions was, how does insurance work? And that was pretty much what it said.
Yeah, it reminds me of the South Park, skit of he goes into the bank to invest his first ever $20. And the bank teller is like, okay, I'm just going to invest it in some high risk rewards, and it's gone.
And then he just does it again and again. Like, yeah. That is a very. In fact, I'm going to need to store that in my head because that is definitely a very good layman's analogy of how banks work. I mean, I heard people that are very well educated and who think they know about economics, and I don't know, maybe it's my simple brain, but they're sitting talking about money creation and they've all got their own bull crap thing, and then none of them are, they're talking about it's the multiplier, and I'm like, look, they're trying to use that lingo jingo to confuse people. The multiplier, what they're talking about is fractional reserve banking. You know how when they take already, well, since this has been in place for a long time, the already bullcrap money that exists out there, that you give them and multiply it by 4.
9, I believe.
It's went up to 9, JP. Is it 4 the?
I think it's always been 9. I don't know where you're getting 4 from.
Oh, jeez. Well, let's say 6.5.
Why? It's 9.
Right,
modern money mechanics.
You know what? I've never.
You don't want to haggle?
Oh, that's not how we
9 for that, you must be mad.
Well, if people don't know, just go and check out fractional reserve banking. JP, what do you think about? Well, I don't know how the banks. Well, fractional reserve banking. I mean, they were talking about the multiplier, and it's just making them. Well, I don't know if it's lost on these people. Just go and look into fractional reserve banking. It exists. Every pound that already you've paid tax, and you give it to the banks, they create 4 and can lend out 9. Sorry, if JP's right, 4 if I'm right. I don't know. I thought it was 4, but maybe they're bumping us more than I actually thought, JP. Because surely with 9 there would just be hyperinflation, man.
You'd think that, but as far as I'm aware, it's 9 and always has been.
Because I don't know about you, JP. Back in the day when you were bumping people, you didn't want to go as much as 9. You always went about 4. You laugh because it's true. You bad man.
Yeah. But the banks have no shame.
That's what they're all about, unfortunately. And I wish I could remember the exact day, but it's either Saturday or Friday, or maybe Thursday. Who knows? I think it's a Friday. A guy, my sister, who works in the city centre quite regularly, says there's a guy literally out there every Friday or Saturday, shouting outside Clydesdale at how they're criminals and stuff. There's an interview with him on my channel, actually. Be more information there. I'll need to actually watch my own video to remember more information about him, because he's an interesting guy, man. But I've got respect, because the banks have just screwed everybody over and nobody's even want to go there, man. even now, a lot of the arguments are moving on because the economy's apparently the economy's apparently turned the corner. Like, here, Days, we're talking about let's strip things back. Let's look at this penny off a pint that's hot in the UK and the absolute absurdity of even actually uttering that. Here, stupid slaves, buy, let's see, buy 300 pints, get one free.
The what?
Well, £3.
What's this?
They slashed a penny off a pint of beer. You know, on the budget.
Oh, well, that's really going to help people. But people were, and it's sort of forthcoming short to mid-term, people are going to really, a lot of people are going to kind of switch off to what they haven't got materially and just go right into this virtual reality world with your Oculus Rift and your Sony one and that. If they could just go online and have a totally different life and the likes of that Second Life and just go off and find a beautiful woman, and you know what I mean. It doesn't matter that they've only got cornflakes and if they've got cornflakes in the fridge in the kitchen, you know, they'll be struggling by, but they'll be living a different life.
Days, I think we've all went to put the cornflakes in the fridge sometime.
I think I've done it a couple of times a night already. That was after Mark Dicey's handlers got a hold of me right enough, so I've got that excuse.
But definitely right, mate. I just think the absolute absurdity of them trying to turn around and make a gesture towards hard-working people, as it says, like a penny off a pint. So for a course of a year, if you buy a pint, say every day, one pint every day over the year, we'll give you one free. Well, it's a bit better than that, but that's what we're talking about here.
We're all hard.
It's just that I don't think it's absurd them saying it. I fully expect the political parties to try and talk that crap. What I'm finding harder to understand is why people don't take to the streets for that sort of a stuff. I mean, this came from a guy who, correct me on the details here, guys, what is his Eddington Club or whatever, and they had to burn £100 notes, £50 notes in the face of homeless guys as part of the initiation. It's the one that him and Cameron were part of. Eton. They were part of Eton. It's a club in Eton.
The Billington Club.
Billington Club, is that the one, mate? Good stuff.
I think so.
Well, if you go and check it out, you will get it. I just don't have the information at your right hand right now. But a part of the initiation of that club has always been burning money in front of homeless people, because that's what these people are all about, man. That's their philosophy.
Yep, that's the mentality.
And the thing is, as well, they are trained monkeys because they're a product of Eton. They really are. They are people of privilege who understand what's required and will happily accept the privileges that go along to participate in the theatre, and that's all politics.
A lot of people don't know that the Tory party were once called the Landed Gentry Party. These people are born to rule. That's in their mindset, that they're born into these positions to rule.
Days, I was one of those people that wasn't aware that they were called. Can you repeat that again? I missed it.
The Landed Gentry Party. That's what the Conservative Party were originally known as.
And what does that, like, excuse my ignorance, but what does that, like, do you know what it breaks down as, if you know what I mean? What does it sort of imply? Just, do you know what I mean?
Sorry, the phrase landed gentry, it's a largely historical British social class consisting of landowners who could live entirely off rental income. Often they worked only as an administrative capacity in the management of their own lands or in such professions as politics or the armed forces. So
Wow.
This is the mentality of these Bullingdon Club people. You know, that story there. I didn't know about the burning money in front of the homeless, but it's the nature of the psychopath.
Nice one, mate. I never knew any of that, man. I'll need to check all that out, man. That is, hey man, it's new information. Like that one, Peter.
Johnny Five, more info.
No, man, that's amazing. But like it is, as you're saying, it's the mentality of the people running this slave ship as we know it nowadays, man. So, what was it you were wanting to talk about, the rhetoric that was coming out about Ukraine? And before we kicked off the show, we were all talking about it. We all chipped in our 2 cents, or 2 pence, or 2 bob, whatever way you want to say it. But and let's start back off again, man, because we went all over the place about what's happening in Ukraine and how. I don't know, Peter. Well, in fact, Peter, why don't we touch on that website you came across and the Eye of Horus?
Techno Control. That's a Spanish firm. I don't know. Somebody posted or gave me the link through the Google Plus, and I gave it a look, and I was absolutely flabbergasted with the stuff that's on there. Because it's pretty much so much in your face. Like, I suggest everybody should check that site out because you have to look at it. It's
I've actually got the website up at the moment at technocontrol.com. Just
Okay.
to with
How
a
are you spelling Techno Control, JP? Break it down so people can grab it.
Tango Echo Charlie Hotel November October control. With a K.
Is control no with a K or something? Or
With a K. Control with a K.
Aye, that's what had to say. I had to get it broke down. It's not control with a C, it's control with a K. So it's techno, as in techno.
Technocontrol.com. If you look in their current projects at the Eye of Horus project, it's proposing plans for the world's largest building, the first 24-hour, 365-day indoor, outdoor, all-terrain, all-weather, all-global climate selection, full military, law enforcement, search and rescue, private security, training facility in the world. So not only is it going to be the biggest building in the world, apparently it'll be a training center for basically New World Order army.
And it's shaped as an eye.
Yeah. It's going to have an operational control center for all training scenarios, including individual, trainee, continuous, physical, mental. God, the list goes on and on. Climate control, jungle, desert, Arctic, climate, weather experiences. It goes on and on. You really need to check out this website. It's technocontrol.com.
Who's funding all of this stuff?
It looks private and with a lot of connections to a lot of people. Days, it's amazing. In fact, what we'll do, Days, is we'll drop everybody the link and we'll go through like, all the certificates that come up on this website, because it's unbelievable. And like we ultimately would want people's feedback to see how authentic it is, because if it's authentic, it will blow you away. And as Peter and JP were saying, it's very much in your face.
It's not saying that it exists. It's putting the plans forward. You know, basically saying, if you've got enough money, we can take over a country for you. You know, that's what reading between the lines. Yeah, you know, that's what I got from it.
If the clock is right, we're going out to break. I can't hear the music, so I'm going to hedge my bets. When it says off air, we're off air. Alrighty, welcome back to the last half hour of GUNN, Glasgow Underground News Network. My name is Kip. You'll find me over on YouTube, Kip 1883 Freedom News Hub 2.0. As always, we've got Days, JP, Peter on truthfrequencyradio.com. And just before the break, we were talking about the Eye of Horus, and it was Techno Control, and that was with a K, not a C. And I think the Googles will bring that up. But I'm pretty sure the Googles will bring that up, so bounce along and check that out. We need your help going along and actually just telling us what you think. The ultimate conclusion we came to was if it's genuine, it's not good. Nowadays, nowadays you might actually believe this. It's very well put together. It's got a lot of working links, so on and so forth. There's a few flaws in it which you wouldn't expect if this was genuine, but ultimately, if it's a hoax, it's a very, very well put together one, and I think everybody should go along to check it out and see what you think. Is this been put up by somebody with too much time in their hands to entertain themselves to see how much attention it gets? Will it end up on the Alex Jones show as fact? Who knows? But
I don't know, people.
No.
We got a new threat.
Well, it does make it more credible because he hasn't picked it up yet. So,
well, like, all we can do is put it out there for people's consideration. It's very I mean, Peter, you're more technical than me in these things, I believe. So tell us if this is a hoax. It's very well put together, isn't it?
Yeah, if the first thing I thought, well, if it's a very elaborate hoax, either by art students or, some college or some university, or to see if they can pull it off, so to say, to make a realistic looking site.
Makes a hell of a April Fool's Day, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
So it was my first thought on this. So that this is one elaborate hoax, but because it's so out there, it's so in your face, it's a bit too much, and too much is mostly a big red flag for me. So.
Well, I think it's definitely worthwhile to put out for people's consideration anyway, because
Absolutely.
The amount of tags and I mean, let's go down.
I'm no expert on all this stuff what's put out here. There's a lot of PDFs files and EU related stuff, and which I'm no expert on. So I encourage everybody to look at it and see the flaws or find flaws and point them out and make a YouTube video on it.
Yeah, what I would immediately say is from looking at it, I do actually think that it could well be a parody of the VenusProject.com. The similarities that I've noticed in it is that the Eye of Horus project has got an eye in the middle with 8 sections, and so does the main design in the Venus project. So it's very, very similar. Very similar.
What's the Venus Project, JP? I don't think I've ever came across that.
Venus Project is basically it's a project for engineers and architects to design a future design city that's like an efficient eco-city, and they pretty much work on a pretty good basis. They have a central area in the middle, and they build up around it in circular motion, and that way they can put in like circular maglev trains, and they can have special equipment that can move stuff to different sections, and it's all very clever. A lot more clever than just, haphazardly building streets and, houses. You know what I mean? There's no
and these buildings are not that far out there because Apple is building one big circular hangout.
Everything that's proposed is absolutely, utterly possible. I mean, maglev trains are already in use in Japan. It's just taking it one step further, really.
Yeah, it also reminds me of those projects they got going in Abu Dhabi and those kind of Turkmenistan and Kazakhstan and those oil-rich New World Order countries. Astana, for instance, yeah.
It's amazing. People need to go and check out the city of Astana. I think it might even be on Google. Maybe not Street View, but the digital building thing might give you an idea of what that.
Well, Turkmenistan is the same. It's the same, and it's even less reported about because but they're also the same kind of Illuminati building and pyramids and stars and 5-pointed this and that, and you can eat your heart out there.
See, to the uneducated ear, this is listen to this for a conspiracy. The uneducated ear, if you say to them Kazakhstan, right, they'll go like that. A wee small, really poor desert country somewhere where there's lots of people that are like Borat.
Yeah.
That's the general. That's the only connection Kazakhstan has with the outside world. I mean, people don't understand that's sending people into space.
And it is a part of the general population that is at that level. It's a farming nations and a very backwards culture, and sure, but they have oil and gas and minerals and they're billionaires. They're and for the last 10, 15 years they've been building like crazy over there. The same as in Abu Dhabi and in Dubai, and most of us look at that side of the world, but the same is going on over there, and the same megalomania sized cities and building islands and stuff in the sea and huge towers and crazy.
Well, I'd like to remind people, and I'm pretty sure you can see this on the Google Earth, but you can go and buy in Dubai a country island in the sense that they have made a small world. And I'm pretty sure some of them must be broke down to individual countries. So you know you can buy individual countries because I think Beckham bought England and stuff like that. It's like a wee built out of the sea island complex, and it's like a replica of the map of the world, let's say. I'm pretty sure the proportions aren't completely accurate so that they can make room for an extra bathroom or something. I don't know.
It's huge. You can see it from space. So when you're in the ISS, you can see it.
They have the palm trees as well.
Yeah, big palm tree. Yeah. And it's all built by a Dutch firm that creates those islands.
So what law do they have over there? So just building islands, what?
They're pumping sand on one place. That's what they do.
They've got
moving sand, creating islands.
They've got
literally.
No, what I'm saying is, like, if they're just creating islands in the middle of the ocean and blah, 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 what law do they have?
Abu Dhabi law. Because it's within...
Would it not be initially...
starts so many...
Maritime.
I know, JP, I know your angle on this, right? But you've...
I was just asking, right?
No, I know the answer, though. But the pirates, you would refer to them, do stick by the code, and the corporations that surround the waters have what's the international... They have like a water line that's still in their territorial waters, right? That goes around every country, and if they build on it, it's still. I know what you mean, mate, but they're not like going into the middle of an ocean and creating
it's within like 7 miles or something like that.
It's linked onto their bit of land by a road and stuff, so they're just creating outwards. That's the best way to say it. But outwards, they've created a big palm tree in a world. Just out of sand, taking it from the desert, transporting it to the...
Yeah, you can look it up on Google. It's easy to get some pictures.
You go and look at this, JP. Just put in Dubai, and it'll take you right there. Sail ship. Sail ship. Dubai sail ship hotel, something like that. But it's pretty impressive, and it is really strange that... Well, it's not strange. I know there's a lot of money there and stuff, but it's kind of... strange the way that these places seem to have so much of the working capital people like to create stuff. It seems to be all in Dubai and all Asia. If you know what I mean, it doesn't seem to be in the West. They seem to be burning the boats as the rats are trying to escape. Whereas in the East, although they have a lot of slaves and whatnot, they're still building. I mean, the Chinese are still rattling up ghost cities with nobody to fill them for some reason. And I mean, I heard I've seen a few programs that documented this and gave the explanation. Well, these are a consequence of the rapid growth. At 1 second they think they need it, and then a change of one contract wipes out an entire city because they're building entire cities to fund slave factories, and that's the economic slavery that's going on in China. They call it capitalism with a communist cap, but it's ultimately, I don't know. Go and check out what's going on in China. It's not good. Yeah, but they sell you cheap stuff. Don't know. Everybody needs their cheap Chinese stuff.
China's the manufacturing hub now, isn't it? It was always been designed to be like that for the last 100 years in the big boys' plans. That's where we are now.
Well, Des, do you think they'll make the NASA Z2 suit in China?
That's the new NASA suit, isn't it? That they're asking people to vote on. They phone up and vote on it, or send your email in and vote on the new design. You can get one that's a biomimicry design that parallels underwater. You can get one that's based on technology, pays homage to technological achievements, and other ones that look like what may everyday clothes may look like in the not too distant future. So we can vote on how the mega rich, the mega elite, what sort of spacesuits they're going to have in the future when they decide to go with Plan B. You know.
I think it looks like what's happening. It's NASA's coming out with a suit which is obviously like designed for walking on planets. Now this is off the heels of, I think the Chinas are top. Well, they're obviously on Mars. They're obviously on the moon just now. I think they're talking about the moon, menting the moon at some point, and ultimately as well, this comes at a very strange time as well, where I kind of think, I don't know what NASA's getting used for more than a PR company right now. I think what's really going on in space is all that corporation crap. I mean, you're hearing about NASA like, hey, we're going to make a moon suit for walking on the moon that get done in the 60s, and you hear about these rich consortiums talking about, I'm going to fly to that asteroid, stick a rocket on it, boost it back to Earth and mine it for its minerals. I mean, there's a very big difference here, and it's a sign of things to go.
Where's all this money coming from if the whole world's in debt? Where's all the money coming from?
It's the multiplier.
They fund all this.
The
multiplier, that's right, aye.
It's the multiplier.
See, the other thing that that sticks out to me as well at the moment, it's like the European Space Agency, you know, and then there's comments basically under that BBC piece about the European Space Agency. Wouldn't it make more sense to go with America and China, you know what I mean, and consolidate? It's all this centralisation of control, you know what I mean, at the moment. So we need to be eyes open to that agenda as well.
Well, you just need to look at the International Space Station as well, man. That's and I've heard in Peter, I don't know whether you've got an opinion on this, the argument that the International Space Station isn't so much in space as in outer orbit. And if you look at the distance how far the space station is from Earth, and then compare that to the distance that we apparently 60 years ago travelled to the moon with lots of dudes. I don't know, I think we've been to the moon, I just don't think we've ever seen any real evidence of it, or any real reality of it.
Nah, I'm not buying it.
I'm not buying it either.
But I do believe, like, this is why I'm saying NASA. Like, I think that, like, I love all the space stuff, but I think ultimately, am I wrong in saying that even publicly they're winding down the NASA budget and it's all the American guys' austerity and whatever they called it over there? And then,
Well,
No.
Kip, see, there's this, right? See an aluminium spacesuit. Correct me if I'm wrong. If somebody out there can correct me if I'm wrong. An aluminium spacesuit can take roughly between minus 200 and over 200 Celsius. And when you're on the moon, it's either 2,000 degrees or minus well under 200 anyway. It's like, and you've got the Van Allen belt as well to consider with the radiation, like how to get through there. You know what I mean? We basically, in the days before we had a TV remote control or you know what I mean, the pocket calculator was common. They're trying to tell you you know what I mean? No. Stanley Kubrick done it. He was the only person that had the sort of lenses at the time. You know what I mean? He pioneered that. If you look into it.
I agree with you, Dave. I've got a crazy theory, right? I think we have been to the moon, but I think it's always been a one-way trip, and that's the reason for all this lies, and that's the thing they can't replicate, and they can't just do a Stanley Kubrick film, as you're pointing out, Dave, and I believe that. I think Stanley Kubrick is a very interesting man. Go and check him out. His films, all of them, amazing. And but anyway, I agree with you, Dave. If you go and look at Stanley Kubrick's relationship with, it was NASA at the time. It was still NASA with Stanley Kubrick and the lenses that they shared that nobody else ever had a shot of. There was something weird going on. Go and look at the Masonic links in NASA, which is obviously clear. Never mind the occult ones in NASA. Look at the names of their the occult links of the names of their shuttles, Atlantis, Columbus, Apollo.
You've got the wee guy's jumper in that film, The Shining, when he's on the bike. It's Apollo, as if to tell you it's child's play, it's a fantasy, you know.
Yeah, that was a weird one, wasn't it?
Or is it JP? No, but Stanley Kubrick stuff is phenomenal, and then just go and look how he surrounded his death. I mean, could he have signed off any better? And guys, I just noticed we've got 8 minutes, so is there anything that anybody wants to say or get out there before we sign off, man? You need to go and check out Daisy's stuff, because he's doing his stuff, and he obviously does the music for the show. A lot of people say they love the theme tune, mate, so if you want to go and check out the music for the show, where's the best 2 YouTubes to go and get your stuff, buddy?
My band's called Fractal Distractions, and my media stuff's Daiz, D-A-I-Z, Independent News.
So get along there, man. Check out all his stuff. JP, do you want them to go and check out pictures of koala bears?
What? No. I just wanted, like, while we're on there or whatever, what do you make of that, the summit at The Hague the other day, and they all, it was basically a big eye in the pyramid, and every one of the people that basically, they look like eyelashes on, you know what I mean?
Well, that isn't Illuminati symbolism, that's ancient occult, and I think more closely, and the most closely associated organisation with that symbolism is the OTO. So, although it is Illuminati, because it is what everybody says it is, and a lot of the same, it's all relation. But the Illuminati don't exist anymore, man.
What?
The Illuminati don't exist anymore. See,
it's probably a bit of an overused term, really. Like, Adam Weishaupt and that had their day, but it's been a wee bit more advanced by then. I think it is an overused term, really, a catch-all term.
The doctrine they use, the doctrine the Illuminati subscribe to very much exists, and the like a lot of these places and organisations and secret organisations are independent of each other. So over time they've like ate each other up and grown and
the snake that devours itself.
That's very much true, and it's very much part of the Darwinianism of it, in the sense that only the strongest survive. But if you thought there was an organisation out there called the Illuminati who put politicians into one room and put an eye there. I'm not saying that those aren't there as symbolism, right? I'm saying the Illuminati, the people called Illuminati, didn't put that there. Like Mark Rice would tell you. But who put them there as it's the closest thing I would say is the OTO, but maybe I'm wrong. But it's one of these control grids. It's not. If the Illuminati was real, do you think they would give? Do you think they would give Rihanna money and any money on music videos? Have Illuminati, was it slut or princess or both, come up in the background of our video? I mean, that's very much obvious and real in there. If you think the Illuminati's real, a real secret. This is the weird thing. They'll go, oh, have you heard of the secret organisation, the Illuminati? Yeah, they pay Rihanna money to have their name plastered on the back of her music videos. They're getting sold a crock of lies. And then you get...
They probably used the word slut and princess because
but
used how they like...
In all fairness, this wasn't a music video. This was like some of the world's most influential people fucking sitting in a circle around an eye that had a pyramid on top of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All the symbolism is there. It's all the exact same stuff, and it comes from the exact same place as the symbolism which is associated as being Illuminati. But is they all seen? I mean, it exists on the... I mean, go and look at the street plan of Washington. I mean, mate, next time you're down, I'll show you my dad's Masonic Bible. I meant to read a wee bit out of that about tonight, man. I'll need to do that another time, man. The stuff in here is phenomenal, and the first stories it tells you about of Freemasonry within the Bible and stuff go back to Egypt. So it's not rocket science. It's all the same symbolism, but it's not the Illuminati.
There's an anonymous writer in the chat room at the moment making a lot of good points, saying the compartmentalisation, the pyramid, that's what it's all about, Illuminati is just a trend right now. But compartmentalisation is really important to how this thing works, It's like a mafia buffer system. Well, like, that section will know what that job is, but it doesn't know above and beyond that necessarily. That's how it works. As
you're saying, break things down to their simplest terms, right? So let's break the Illuminati down, and I'll give evidence of it. It's less of an organisation and more of a corporatisation of something that existed back in the day that's been jumped on, sprung all over, used, and now it's used to make money. The evidence to support this, Rihanna and that Illuminati, people will use that as evidence they exist and they control Rihanna. Who are Rihanna and all that controlled by? People with money. Bankers, investment bankers, all these scumbags that float about in high elite circles. They tell them what to do. Here, stick Illuminati Princess in the back of your record. You'll sell more. Blah de blah. He can make money that way. She can make money this way. Look, Jay-Z, go and sell. I don't know. And it's not that these doctrines and stuff don't exist within secret societies, who some of these pop stars may actually touch base with and stuff, and maybe even join and participate in the rituals and stuff. Who knows? But they don't turn up to the Illuminati party. Hey, Illuminati! You know what I mean? It's a throw. But I don't mind it getting used as a generalistic term, and I do use it myself, and I have done, and will continue to do so. But people need to understand it's not real in the sense. It's an all-in-one catchphrase. Yeah, that's all.
And it could also be like, see the way HARP, all of your attention's on there, but there's so many other grids all over the world that people aren't looking at. It's like, look over here, prestidigitation, the manual dexterity and the execution of tricks. That's all important to these people. Keep you looking at other places where they go on with other stuff.
What Peter was saying earlier on about the contrails as well. I built on it in the sense that, if they are just a natural thing and nothing to worry about, they're getting propagated for a reason, and that reason could be to hide the genuine spraying seems watered down in context to just the general commercial planes making white lines rather than the actual real stuff that goes on in the Korean War the washing out of the Ho Chi Minh Trail and stuff like that. It's been admitted.
Well, I'm not saying they're harmless, but yeah.
Well, I think people need to broaden their horizons when it comes to contrails, chemtrails, whatever you want to call them. So definitely an interesting subject. And right, we've got a minute to go, guys. So thanks to Days, thanks to JP, thanks to Peter. Martin, hopefully back next week as well. As I said, kudos to him. He was out actually treating his mum. He's making the rest of his look bad, but what can you say? And happy Mother's Day, Mum. Anybody else want to chirp in?
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day.
Nah.
You know, saying happy Mother's Day to my mum?
Michelle Obama is a man.
Oh, you were watching some convincing just before we go. This is just going out. And next week, maybe JP can tell us the compelling evidence Michelle Obama, man.
Clips, clip.